My name is Jonathan Hescott. I'm 49 years old and I work in reinsurance claims. I'll just share a little bit about my journey to diagnosis, my diagnosis of a condition on the autism spectrum, and how I came to realize I was neurodivergent. And really, when I look back, ever since I was a child, there was always something that wasn't quite right about my place in the world. I managed to get along just fine at school. I managed to get along okay at university and at work with friends, but it really was just okay. So throughout my life, I noticed differences. Why was it that I liked things that nobody else liked? And why did I know absolutely everything about those things? Why was it that other people didn't seem to have specific interests like I did? Why would they laugh if I talked for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours about my interests? I knew that it just wasn't the same as other people. I was called moody and miserable, even at times when I thought I was being quite cheery and friendly. People would take offense to things that I would say without any offense being intended. I wouldn't really know what was going on there. There came a point where I was asking myself on a daily basis, how come that everyone else on the planet knows what to do? How do they know what to do? Why don't I know what to do? And so as time went on, through my teens and my 20s and my 30s, the doing okay turned sour. So school life bombed, my schoolwork bombed. University was okay for a while and then it fell off a cliff. And it was the same at work. Every job I had was fine for a while. I could pull myself together and I could make a good impression, and then something just happened. And even with friends, I'd have great friendships that would suddenly end, friends who would stop talking to me. I wouldn't know why. And I kept asking myself, why am I a bad person? What is going on? Why, if I know the theoretical approach, why can't I improve? I wanted to improve. I tried to learn and behave and play along, play the game, and I now understand that this is what's called masking. The real constant self-doubt about how I was perceived, how I was behaving, turned into a feeling of failure, and that turned into a feeling of self-hate, and that in turn became anxiety and depression. And I think that 10, 15, 20 years ago, autism awareness wasn't really a thing. I flew under the radar until I was 47, getting by, doing just okay for the most part, but there were prolonged episodes of depression, crippling depression that meant I couldn't work. They didn't have an explanation. My journey to autism then took a turn quite by chance when I read an article. It ended up being my sensory issues that led me to learn more about autism, quite by chance. When I realized that the sensory overload that I've always felt, that isn't normal, it isn't common, it isn't experienced by everyone, and I thought it was. And it wasn't a reason to be ashamed, it wasn't a weakness. And these signs of autism, they just kept piling up. And I thought, look, there's got to be something. Someone needs to tell me. So I really pushed ahead. I spoke to a GP first, so it was a bit of a false start. But I kept pushing. I wanted to know what was going on, and I was diagnosed with a condition on the autism spectrum earlier this year. The diagnosis of a condition on the autism spectrum has made quite a few differences really to my life and work. The diagnosis was only given a few months ago, and I'm still noticing new differences every day, large ones and small ones. And I think that the main positive difference since diagnosis is that I'm far more in tune with myself, with my own needs and with my limitations, let's say. Things in general just make more sense to me now. My life makes more sense. The experiences I've had seem to fall into place. I no longer beat myself up at the things that I felt I was getting wrong in the past. Things like an awkward social interaction, or feeling overwhelmed in public space. I realise now that there's a reason for that, and it's not just weakness or not coping. As far as sensory overload goes, as I say, I realise it's not me being a wuss. It is a very real thing that other people experience. No need to feel ashamed about it. And having talked about that at work, and having asked sort of really for some assistance, I've been given that assistance, and I've been given space and time and help. Also, my HR, they organised an occupational health review, which brought about many practical tips and adjustments. Also, they arranged one-to-one coaching sessions. It's been a very, very positive experience. Something that, as I say, was a little bit scary to do. Do I talk to my employer about this or not? I'm glad I did. I'm very glad I did. So to other people who are considering diagnosis, considering going on that journey, I can say, really go for it. It sounds very corny, but go for it. You deserve it. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to those around you. But you really owe it to yourself. It doesn't matter how old you are. You know, if you're thinking about seeking out a diagnosis, you know that there are reasons why.